I was in the United States Navy, and I served from 1958 to 62. And my time was spent on the USS Independence, and our home port was Norfolk, Virginia. That's where every time we came home, that's where we ported. Ship pulled in there and we docked. I enlisted in Des Moines, Iowa, and I wasn't drafted. I volunteered for 4 years because I wanted to get some schools. I was in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. I had just graduated from high school. So the summer I graduated from high school, I went into the service. I wanted to get some training, and I also wanted to see the world. I was a farm boy that, I was on the farm. The farthest I'd been away from home was 30 miles. So when I went into the Navy, naturally, I got thousands of miles away. So I really looked forward to that, and I liked that a lot. I just wish I'd have taken more advantage of it, and seen a lot more.
Is that why you picked the Navy?
Well, I think so. And then I had a couple of friends that attended Navy Reserves, and they asked me to look into it, so I did, and I joined it. I was in the Navy Reserves before I ever went into the Navy. So I was in there about 2 years. I was in reserves about 2 years. Attended meetings down in Burlington, Iowa. Well, I know it was hot. We were in San Diego, California, but to me, I was always in athletics, and so it really wasn't really a deal with me as far as the physical part. We had a lot of training, a lot of schools, and we learned a lot, about the Navy and about what your job would be, firefighting and damage control, and these things that you would need on a ship. So that's where I went first. That was the training I got right in San Diego at the boot camp.
And you were in during a time when tensions were really high over the Cold War.
Oh yeah, yes. We had lots of times when we'd be locked down in battle stations and having a mock situation. We'd launch aircraft, say 102 hours. It was continuous. We were locked down in our battle stations, and we flew continually for that period of time.
What was the name of the carrier you were on?
USS Independence. At that time, it was the biggest and mightiest warship in the United States, in the world. It was kind of a country boy coming to town. It was really quite a deal. We set out in Brooklyn Navy Yard. That's where it was built, and that's where I spent about 6 months on that before we went to sea. And we were indoctrinated with the ship, and we got to take it. We were the first ones to take it out of the harbor, so they had to lower the mast to get under the bridges, and it was quite a sight. You're standing up on the flight deck, and you're floating on this massive piece of equipment. It's pretty, a thrill for a kid. For a young guy. So we were in the Atlantic Fleet. The division I was in, it was aviation gasoline. And our division, we furnished fuel for the jets and the reciprocating aircraft, and aviation lube oil for the reciprocating planes, propeller-driven planes. I was in charge of distributing aviation lube oil to the catapults. The catapults had lube oil, the engine-driven machines, on the ship, and then we had reciprocating aircraft. We'd have squads of prop jobs, and they would come aboard, and I had to issue them oil, and that was pretty much my job. And then we would take on oil at sea, and that was part of the job. But I had a really pretty good job. When we commissioned the ship, they took it out on a shakedown cruise, and we were out about 6 weeks, and they go out, and it was just the ship itself. They didn't fly any planes, but they put the ship through maneuvers, speed trials, worked all the elevators and the catapults, and it was just that's what it was. Just to see if everything worked right, and make sure that things were in order before we went out to sea with a crew of planes. But Norfolk, Virginia was our home port after we left there. We left at Brooklyn Navy Yard, went on a shakedown cruise. On that shakedown cruise, we went to Cuba, down to the Cuban base down there, and then we went to Dominican Republic and a couple of other islands down there. But then we came back to the Brooklyn Navy shipyard, and then we went to, well, when we went out, yes, we could see the Statue of Liberty and we could see the skyline. We were, actually, I was there about a year in the Brooklyn Navy shipyard before it ever left. And that was quite a deal there because, you know, we went on Liberty and we would go downtown. One of the first places I went, naturally, was the Empire State Building. I had to go see that right away. But then they had the USO, and you could get out the USO and you could get tickets to all the shows on Broadway. You know, all you had to do is go in and ask for a ticket, and you could. When I was there, I seen Hello Dolly and a couple of those, you know, back at that time. That show ran for shucks, like 20 years. But it was quite an experience for a farm boy. Our first cruise, I think it was 7 months, and we went to Europe. We went to Barcelona, Spain was one of our ports, and Genoa, Italy was one of our ports. And then we went to Cannes. We went to France off the coast, and then we went to. So we didn't actually dock or stop at any of the other cities there, but we would port there, and then they would bring on supplies for the ship, and resupply for the food and things like that. We went to Genoa, Italy. We went to Cannes. We went to Nice, and we could take day trips. We could, after we ported, we could go about any place we wanted to, you know, during the day. When we were in Italy, as a matter of fact, they were still having these communist rallies, and it was kind of frightening because you'd walk up and you'd see all these red carpets and all these platforms and stages, but it was intimidating. But nobody, you know, there was never any incidences. You know, they didn't bother anybody. But it kind of took you back. You look at some of these things and think, wow, you've always seen them on the TV, but when you're there in person, it's kind of, you know, it just makes you really think.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't have email, we didn't have telephones and all that stuff, but we had we had a mail plane every day. The mail plane came in and brought the mail, and so you could write letters, and that was really your way of communicating back then. Well, food's best food in the services, you know. It was really good. It really was. And they had a variety of food, and it was always good. It was always hot. You know, it wasn't any cold meals, or you see these pictures in the movies and stuff. You know, the guys are eating in the trenches. Well, we didn't have that. You know, we had regular chow halls, and it was really a nice place.
You ended up back in the Cuba area,
right?
For what was called the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
that. Was
that.
Actually pretty subtle because, you know, we were there, but we didn't know a lot about it. We knew we got airplanes that were camouflaged from the beach, and we knew that we had the Marines on deck most of the time, and we had a lot of airplanes that had Marines guarding them. So we knew something was cooking, but it was, like I say, it was actually pretty quiet. They were just kind of eased into it, and then we eased back out of it, you know, as the pressure left. But it was, you know, you wouldn't really, you would just, I don't know, it would just seem kind of mysterious, you know, that's what it was, just kind of quiet. But you see these documentaries on TV now. I just seen one here a while back, and it was Kennedy was in the situation, naturally, and it told some of the thoughts and some of the things that were going through his mind, and some of the actions they took, you know, to ward that off. So it was, you know, you were there, but you didn't know how close you might have been to not being there, you know. Well, I think it taught me a lot. It gave me, I seen a lot of the world, and I did a lot of things that, you know, that I would have never done, you know, if I had not have joined. And you make a lot of fast friends. I still have friends that I've talked to today, and I still communicate with, and it's a camaraderie that you build and have between, you know, guys that you're in the service with. So, no, there's lots of things we could talk about, but it was, again, you know, at the risk of repeating myself, it was quite an experience for a guy from Iowa to go into service and do all the things we did and travel every place we went.
Well, finally, what does it mean to you to say that you served your country?
Well, I think it, you know, makes you proud. It makes you glad you did it. Sometimes you think you probably didn't get paid enough. I think we all thought that, but I mean, it was something I volunteered for, and I never thought anything about it. I just did my 4 years and did the best job I could and came home.